One thing that separates Gears of War to other titles is the cover system and the character mechanics associated with it. As a result, this creates for an incredibly diverse experience as well as an opportunity to add a new element to your game. Wall bouncing is sliding in and out of cover very quickly, increasing your mobility and lethality in combat. With this tactic in your arsenal, you can become a one-man wrecking crew. The technique is very simple to implement but requires good decision making and timing to have maximum effect. This technique utilizes your cover slide maneuver. If you play on default settings, this is the A button. I've recently switched to tournament layout, which makes it LB. Tournament layout is probably the best layout to use because it allows you to keep both thumbs on your controller at the same time, allowing you to execute multiple quick wall bounces in succession. This can be overcome if you have a SCUF controller or some other controller that has paddles on the back. Or alternatively, you could play Claw, which allows both thumbs to be on the sticks and use your index finger to operate your face buttons, which are A, B, X, and Y. To perform this action, simply move close enough to a piece of cover, then press the cover button depending on your layout. If you're using the classic default, press A. If you're using tournament layout, use LB, and this starts the cover slide animation. As you're sliding, you want to turn your right thumbstick, or whichever stick helps you aim, in the direction you want to be facing when you exit the cover. When you hit the wall and you're happy with the way you're facing, push in the opposite direction of the wall with your left thumbstick, or whichever helps your character move, and you'll perform a wall bounce. It all sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? But to get the maximum out of it, you need to know when to use it appropriately. There are also a few key things to take note as well when you're wall bouncing. The first of which is, to do this effectively, you need to hip fire your shots. Otherwise, you're going to slow down your movement and be an easy target if you aim your shotgun. One of the most important things to remember is that you can cancel the slide animation before it finishes. This makes it difficult for people to read where you're going and means you can adjust your attack if the slide would have been too much for you movement-wise. You don't need to be facing cover to actually get into it, as long as you point your character's movement in the direction of the wall. The animation of the slide locks you into it, and you cannot do anything else until you finish the slide by either completing the animation or cancelling it. You can't shoot, melee, or evade during the slide. Standing and crouch cover can make a world of difference when wall bouncing. You can transition from a standstill to a crouch cover, making you very difficult to hit and reducing your target area for the enemy. Finally, if you're looking to perform quick and successive wall bounces, I recommend turning your look sensitivity up. Mine is currently sat at 18. This technique can be used both offensively and defensively. However, with Gears of War 4 in core modes, those being things like Dodgeball, Team Deathmatch, or King of the Hill, the technique is better used defensively. In ranked modes, those being Escalation and Execution, it can be used much more offensively. This is simply because the shotgun damage is different in the two modes. There's a lot of crossover, but separating them into two different approaches will make it easier to explain. The best example, and probably the most relevant for beginners and newer players, is to demonstrate it defensively. One of the first defensive benefits is that you can evade shots. By quickly traversing across the map, your opponent will react slower to you and may not be able to land shots quickly. You may also experience your character crouch into cover, reducing your hitbox to the opponent so they may miss or take time to execute a shot. The next benefit allows you to change your angle quickly, so you can rapidly turn to the way you want to face and give you more of an approachable angle to fight your opponent. Thirdly, as well as giving you the opportunity to quickly flee the scene, it will allow you to put space between you and your opponent so that they don't catch you out with a heavy blow or a gun that is more lethal. Finally, it gives you the time and opportunity to switch weapons if you're caught out with the wrong gun, or it gives you the time to reload if you're out of ammo. Now let's look at it on an offensive level. It has a lot of utility and map play advantage. Let's look at some examples that are not necessarily wall bounce specific, but follow similar concepts and are still relevant to what we're talking about. The first is it allows you to get to points on the map faster. You travel much quicker when you're sliding compared to running and rolling. Doing it well can get you into vital positions faster than your enemy and give you map and weapon control. Following the same principle, it can help you chase down a fleeing enemy who's wounded and efficiently get you close to them to be able to kill them off. Looking at more wall bounce specific uses, the most obvious one is it will allow you to evade shots when you're pursuing an enemy and trying to hunt them down. One of the most important functions is the gap closing ability. By reducing the distance between you and your opponent, you can increase your chances of causing a fatal blow to your enemy. Plus, you will give them the less opportunity to pick you off at distance. Finally, it can effectively help you challenge people sitting in cover who are too stubborn to move. It won't always work out, but if you time it right and act quickly, you can hit people before they're able to react. It's important with wall bouncing to use it appropriately. Just because you have the option to do it does not necessarily mean it's the best one. You might see people darting off walls like a bouncy ball, but that doesn't mean you need to as well. A strafe and other techniques can be just as effective, especially in core modes. Here's a perfect example of almost all areas of wall bouncing. The first kill, I was intended to close the gap and pick up the kill. It didn't quite pan out how I intended, but I managed to come out on top. A second enemy comes up the stairs and has an opportunity to put shots in me. There's no real escape. I have to decide to defensively slide forward into cover, and by doing this I can evade the shots he's putting down as well as offensively close the gap and change the angle of the fight into my favour and get the kill. Finally, the third person was a bit of a risk. I knew he had a torque bow and I need to alleviate pressure on the hill. If I could make him at least miss one shot, I've got a great opportunity to kill him. Using the staircase, I offensively progress forward while cancelling my wall slides to keep him guessing on where I'm going, and he whiffs his shot and has to evade. A bit of a fail on my part sees me miss 2 shots, however I know he's likely to either evade forward or wall bounce towards me and try to turn the fight around. I'm more than aware of it and wall bounce once more to open up the angle defensively for me and force him to adjust dramatically, which gives me all the advantage in the fight and I come out the victor. If you've enjoyed the video and you learnt something today, please do drop a like rating. If you have any feedback about the video or videos like this, please do leave them down below and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this in the future. I'll see you soon. Peace out.